Hope everybody doing good. Hope everybody that's looking at this take something away that you can live with. Let's go. See, you look at a bird's feathers to decide if it deserved better. Is my skin color what you use to measure me? If I was a bird, I would fly just to find peace. Sometimes I watch them just to find me. Roads and intersections, cut off animals in different directions. That's the same as systematic oppression. Is a raccoon really a thief, or is it how we look at it? Are they really trying to survive because they don't have it how they had it? I know I've been judged due to misunderstanding, but all we got is love. We all gotta live on this planet. We don't appreciate a caterpillar until it turns into a butterfly and show its colors. That's your reminder not to judge a book by a cover or by the current circumstances of someone. If I was a bee, I'd be buzzing. And if I was a plant, I would hope that I could be a rose so I can give you all a dozen. Most of the bugs and the insects I see around me travel with their relatives like we do with our families. Coyotes howling, but it remind me of us crying, cause we want you to love us like you love mountain lions. You prefer the lions, but we want your alliance. And some empathy, cause one day we may need your guidance. We may need your voice, we don't need your silence. We're just like each other, the animals that like us too. Feeling like nobody hears me scream. Can I fly with broken wings? And now we're facing these roads, will I make it across? I know one day I win, but right now I'm lost. If I was wild, tell me, would you love me? Would you be there for me? Yeah, would you love me? Look, my fears kept me up at night, like I'm nocturnal. Thugs cry, doves cry, I hope they all heard you. Life short like Prince, couldn't walk in my prints. Like a lion I sprint, migrated like the monarch, couldn't afford my rent. Hard to feed my kids, rat poison due to wildlife, what the crack came and did to my community. Built the road system just to break up all our unity. Cop spotlight, man, they had me like. They said we act like animals, and to me that's wild. Cause if I act like them, they should love my style. Don't treat me like your prey, treat me like your child. I'm wise like the owl, but if I was wild, would it be more stress? Cause unlike me, when I felt like I couldn't breathe, the animals couldn't speak and couldn't protest, couldn't walk in the street. Let that soak in. Feeling like nobody hears me scream. Can I fly with broken wings? Feeling like I'm facing these roads, will I make it across? Yeah, I know right now I win, but right now I'm lost. Tell me, if I was wild, would you love me? Would you be there for me? Yeah, would you love me? When I see you, I see me, I see all that we could be. Something better than we ever did. We're more connected than we ever been. I see your eyes, yeah, and I cry for you. I feel your pain, yeah, and I fight for you. Tell me, if I was wild, would you love me? Would you be there for me? Thank y'all.
Well, all I could say is, Brother Warren, you was dropping some serious knowledge on folks. I hope everybody really unpacked the lyrics that our good brother was dropping on us. That was straight fire. And it goes into history of what historically Black colleges and universities, the folks who come out of them, have been able to do. And all the innovation and ingenuity that young people have continued to infuse into many of the social justice and racial justice issues that we have all been working on and fighting for. And now in this transformational moment, we want to make sure that our communities, that our people are at the front of the line. When we talk about a new clean economy, well, that clean economy has to be built upon justice. That clean economy also has to honor our culture. That clean economy also has to honor our history and the sacrifices that we often unintentionally had to make because of the impacts that were happening inside of our community. So this new set of economic opportunities, this new set of jobs gives us an opportunity to make sure that our institutions are playing a leading role in that space. I'm so honored to be able to hold space with everyone tonight. My family, 100 years connected and going to historically Black colleges and universities. So I had my lessons at an early age with the individuals who had been not only educated, but also taught to honor and respect our culture. So we're going to take folks on a journey tonight with some incredibly amazing students who have put this event together with faculty and staff and others who are navigating this space. Because let's be real, when we start talking about trillions of dollars moving, our communities have often been the ones who did not get a chance to fully participate in that process. And that has also contributed to the wealth gap that exists inside of our communities. So we are looking for jobs and justice. We want to make sure that this new set of economic opportunities is not going to exacerbate the sacrifice zones that exist across our country, but helps to actually eliminate those. We're going to make sure that the 200,000 people who die prematurely from air pollution, that's no longer a dynamic that's happening in our community. Those folks, when you turn on your faucet, we're going to make sure there's clean water inside of our communities. We're going to make sure that our natural infrastructure is honoring our sets of experiences and our work. And that's why we are so incredibly blessed that all of these amazing young people have pulled together this event so that we can make sure that we are exponentially growing the information, so that we're making sure that the arts are also being honored in this space. Because we know we want real change to happen. It is always the arts, that is playing a significant role in helping to drive change. Dr. King used to say the civil rights movement wouldn't have been a civil rights movement without all those incredible artists who were there holding people together, lifting people up, and also helping people to understand that there is a North Star. And each and every one of you are so important in pointing out what that North Star looks like. So with that being said, I want to thank you for allowing me to be a part of what's happening here tonight and what will grow out of this. And with that being said, I am going to turn it over to our amazing Assistant Vice President, Miss Simone Lightfoot.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ali. I appreciate you more than you know. And thank you, Warren. Wonderful job. My name is Simone Lightfoot. I am the Associate Vice President of Environmental Justice and Climate Justice here at the National Wildlife Federation. We are so excited to have each and every one of you join us. This gathering is such an extension of the work that we continue to do in our continued commitment to HBCUs and the HBCU community. Through our environmental justice program, we have been steadfast working with Grambling and Southern University, as an example, on Bayou Classic. So I have to give a big shout out to Dr. Waneen Dorsey at Grambling State University and Miss Tamara Foster Montgomery at Southern University. NWF is now in our 5th year of supporting the Bayou Classic between Grambling and Southern. We work in partnership with the Lower 9th Ward Center for Sustainable Engagement there in New Orleans. In 2020, for example, when Bayou Classic was canceled due to COVID, we worked with both institutions to create what we called Bayou Classic, a battle of the sciences, where student scholars came together and they did research on the toxins and the flood challenges and other issues facing the Mississippi River. We combined sports and we combined our scholars and our publishing students and did a yeoman's job. You'll see that publication in our toolkit. So again, we're very excited. Now onto the program. You all are about to embark on an innovative speed dating format aimed at providing energetic and concise insight and tips for HBCU students and stakeholders to consider in their career planning. Presentations will last between 3 minutes and 7 minutes and are designed to share quick career pointers that each of you should consider, employ, and apply towards your graduation, your business ventures, your job pursuits. Our goal is to provide a rich opportunity to help inform and prepare HBCU students, faculties, alumni, and stakeholders for the explosion of career opportunities that Dr. Ali mentioned. Those opportunities are expected to come with the economic recovery and the increased focus on social, economic, and environmental justice we see in our country. This national online gathering was designed by African-American and HBCU students. So a big shout out to Ms. Deborah Davies from Texas Southern, Ms. Lauren Caldwell from North Carolina A&T, and a special mention to Mr. Iman Dash over at George Mason University. Their task was to center career development and networking opportunities with African Americans in green careers. And they did just that. The roundtable will squarely place race, culture, art, and legacy at the intersection of green career planning, professional development opportunities, and of course, the COVID-19 communication norms that we now use called Zoom. Each of you will receive a robust toolkit, so please be on the lookout for that with much more additional information that includes contacts and resume tips, federal policy engagement, and other opportunities. You'll see that in our chat. So you'll continue to hear me as I moderate through the chat. We need you to share with us that information you'd like known and public, any campaign information, internships, job opportunities, authors, readings, research, or some of your own publishing, some of the faculty. Please, if you have other ideas for content, put that in the chat as well. All right, you guys, we're ready. I'm ready. I'm going to introduce to you for our first set of speakers. They all will speak to you in 3-minute increments, so get ready to hear, to listen, to write. First up, we have Ms. Carla Walker. We then have Ms. Julie Williams Warren. We have Mr. Edward Oyetola, and we have Ms. Ipangu Ikele. I should have shared where they're from. Let me do that. Carla Walker is Director of Environmental Justice and Equity from the World Resource Institute. Ms. Julie Williams Warren, she's an Associate Territory Manager for Crop Protection at Corteva Corporation. Edward Oyetola is an aeronautical engineering student. He's a junior, and he's a member of the National Society of Black Engineers over at Iowa State University. And last, we have Ms. Ikele. She is a graduate student in sustainable research. Her work is in environmental management, in people, equity, and the environment. And she's over at Yale University. So we will hear first from Carla, then Julie, then Edward, and then Mr. Pangu. Thank you, and go right ahead.
Thank you, Simone. Really appreciate you organizing all of this and working with your team to put this event on. As you said, my name is Carla Walker. I'm the Director of Environmental Justice and Equity for the World Resources Institute. I am just under 2 months into this role. It is a brand new role for World Resources Institute, WRI, and it has me essentially making sure that equity is centered in WRI's work practices, research, and the way in which they advocate once that research is published. I didn't start off this way. I actually started in my career in science, took a left turn into politics, and spent about 15 some odd years as a public servant working for mayors, state legislatures, and working on about 150 political and advocacy campaigns. What I will share with you is a couple of tips and pointers and things that I always say to folks who are my mentees in terms of thinking about your career and moving forward after you graduate. Number one, always continue to learn, take a look at webinars, online events, read the blogs, make sure you're following organizations' social pages, make sure you're reading reports and getting information from different journals of the issues that you're trying to follow. Number two, this isn't anything new, but you definitely want to get your elevator pitch together because undoubtedly somebody is going to want to ask you what's going on with you, what's your story, what can you do for me? You want to be ready for that. Number three, cultivate your tribe, your circle, your hive, call it whatever you want. I have a sister circle, but you're going to need some people who can help you vent, who can let you vent, who can help you strategize, who can give you tips and pointers. At the end of the day, they can make you laugh and give you a bit of a stress relief because this work is hard. Number four, definitely put your name on something, write a blog, write an article, get in your school newspaper or even one of the Black newspapers. When you get a chance, you might want to take a look at Word in Black. This was a new platform that was created by 10 Black newspapers. They are always going to be looking for content to talk about our stories with our audiences. And then number five, don't just practice self-care. Be selfish about taking care of yourself because, again, this work is hard, it's stressful, and you're going to need to be able to, you can't take care of the planet if you have not taken care of yourself. I'll leave you with that.
Go right ahead.
Hi, everyone. My name is Julie Williams Warren. I'm a graduate of North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University. I completed my bachelor's degree in agriculture education in 2019, and then I went straight through and completed my master's in agriculture education as well in 2021. I currently work for the country's only standalone agricultural company. And it was kind of a journey getting here. I started out interning, working on my university's farm, and then working through some other companies. So I'd first say, opportunities multiply as they are seized. I didn't really want to start out working on my university's farm, but I needed an opportunity. And that kind of gave me the leverage to get my foot in the door with some of these ag companies. And then I didn't really say no too much early on. I really put myself in some uncomfortable situations. There's no growth in the comfort zone. So my first internship, I was in Champaign, Illinois, by myself. My second internship, I lived in Mankato, Minnesota. Then I got to be home for my third internship, but my territory was Maryland to South Carolina. So I was in all of those states weekly, and now I live in Indianapolis, Indiana. So it's important to do the things that feel scary and create a network for yourself. I'm out here by myself, but I've met a lot of young Black women in the area who just recently moved here for new jobs. I got in with my company's employee research group, the Global Alliance of African Heritage. And I tend to do a lot of things with them one-off because in my business, I am one of one in the company. There are no Black women in sales, and I'm as young as I am. And it can be kind of conservative, what I do, but it's important to understand what's important to you, understand your environment, and be comfortable taking up spaces because it's often I could be in a room with 200 people. I'm in Indiana, so that's not really uncommon, and it's just me. And you're inevitably gonna be different, but you can still find those common grounds, the basic things that people find important, their work-life balance, their hobbies, their families. And that's how I tend to make my professional connections in an environment where it's literally just me. So yeah, take every opportunity you can, even the ones that may seem a little uncomfortable, as long as you don't feel like you're in harm's way. Create those connections with everyone, people from your universities. I have several friends in my field, people from other universities, and then kind of figure out the who's who in your business and align yourselves with those people, because it's not always easy and you need those people to advocate for you in rooms you're not in. So that kind of be my tidbits.
Thank you. Edward?
Hello, my name is Edward Oyitola. I'm a junior at Iowa State University studying aerospace engineering. And a few pointers that I have for you all is something that I wish I knew when I was a freshman, is how important building relationships with professors and advisors is, because your advisor, they help you with everything. They help you with your schedule. They help you with planning out your 4-year plan, what you need to do to graduate. They also can connect you with different departments and people who can offer you other opportunities. For example, because here in Iowa, there's not too many African Americans, and there was a program that I had no idea about. And I was speaking with one advisor who she wasn't even my advisor, and she was able to connect me with the lady who was in charge of that program. And so I would say definitely build connections with your professors and advisors, especially if you're doing anything with like engineering or science. You can go into research and they are the experts, the professors. So I also think that it is very necessary to get a mentor, someone who can help guide you through college, through your career. And your mentor may change over the years because as you gain more experience, as you encounter different opportunities, different experiences, challenges, you may have to switch to people who you have in your corner who are there to support you and back you up. I also would say you have to prioritize sleep. A lot of people, they like to just go in, study, and they lose a lot of sleep, but you have to sleep. I heard a motto once, it was sleep more than you study more than you party, and party as much as you can. So you may only be able to party once a month, maybe twice a semester, but you have to sleep because if you don't sleep, you can't learn. Your body's not even functioning to its full potential. And the most important thing of all is time management. So it's speaking from like an engineering point of view, it can be a lot of work because you have your math, you have your physics, all these different classes and designs and projects, and you have to manage your time perfectly. So if you have like a schedule or if you have a planner, really stick to it. If you say like today I'm going to tackle this assignment or this homework, whatever, just stick to it and get it done. Of course, sometimes things happen, but just try to stick to it as best as you can. So something I wanted to say about engineering with going green, it's very important to go green, especially from engineering, because so for my engineering, it's aerospace. So you can build airplanes and rockets. It's rocket science basically. And so some of those like emissions and some of the carbon emissions and the exhaust from the different aircrafts, they can affect the earth pretty badly. And we all know that marginalized communities are the ones who feel the most effect from all of these carbon emissions or pollutions in the air. And so that is why I would have to try to gain knowledge more about going green and conservation to apply to my field. And that's all that I have for you today.
Thank you. Epangu?
Hello, everyone. My name is Eponge Ekile. I am, no worries. I am a first year's master's student at Yale University. I actually went here for undergrad as well. So I have spent most of my time in PWIs. I'm also a classical violinist, so that is also primarily white. So I've just had to navigate white spaces basically my entire life. But what I could give you as advice would be to not be afraid to educate those around you, even if they are your superiors or mentors, whatever. I worked for a project in Germany the past 3 years, and I was working on sustainable research methods and more inclusive research methods. And I co-authored a paper that's currently being published right now. But in writing a lot of these paragraphs and terms, whatever, I was using a lot of environmental justice terms like institutional racism or BIPOC, those kinds of things. And my German mentors kept saying to me, we don't have that jargon. We don't have a word for this in German. We don't have the language or surrounding environmental justice does not exist in many other places except in the US. And so I had to assume the role of educating my own mentors, my own principal investigator about these issues and try to work with them to find a way to reword, I guess, these terms into into sentences, phrases that were more applicable in other languages. So needless to say, the US is ahead of the rest of the world really on these issues, which is a little disturbing to think about given how far we actually are, which is not very. But all of this to say that you will sometimes be more knowledgeable about some topics than other people. And don't be afraid to exert that confidence and exert that expertise in front of anyone and everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you to the entire panel. You all were just phenomenal, succinct, to the point where we're very appreciative. Thank you for that. We're going to transition now to the section titled Once Upon a Time. And these are 7-minute shares that fall in line with storytelling and highlighting the backgrounds of those in this work, the path that they took, the green career advice that they would give, and very specifically how they navigated race and the need to make sure that HBCU students, alumni, staff consider green careers, green research, and ways in which we can do this work. So we will have first up Dr. Mamie Parker, and she's retired now, she's a legend, with the Fish and Wildlife, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Her space that she occupied there was the first African-American regional director for Fish and Wildlife. She was a biologist and a pioneer in conservation. So happy to have her. Next up after that, we will hear from Miss Beatra Wilson. She is standing on the shoulders of Dr. Parker, along with the rest of us. She is now an assistant director of urban and community forestry at U.S. Forest Service. And last up, we will have Mr. Otis Wright Jr., who is a hunter and a farmer. He is a soil and water conservationist with the Conservation District there in Hinds County, Mississippi, and also the principal at Ag Eco LLC. So we'll hear from Dr. Parker, Ms. Wilson, and Mr. Wright. Please take it away, Dr. Parker.
Thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity. And I'm really, really excited about what you all are doing at the National Wildlife Federation. Simone, Rebecca, Mustafa, all of you guys are my heroes and sheroes. Hello, HBCU family members. I am a proud graduate of an HBCU, the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, and certainly have Lions pride as I have a chance to greet you all here this afternoon. It is my pleasure to do so. I'm going to start with the quote from someone that might be familiar to you, and she may not be familiar to you, but she says, just because it hurts like hell does not mean you ain't supposed to do it. Those are the words of Madea. And I know I have family members that don't like Madea and they don't want to hear me talk about Tyler Perry at all. But, you know, there's a lesson in everything that we encounter if we take it to be that lesson. And so that's my first point to each and every one of you. Find that lesson and do something about it. I was at the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff in an undergraduate program, did not know that I could become what I am today, a limnologist, a wildlife ecologist, traveled the world, traveled to Africa doing work in wildlife, speaking in China, going to Argentina, but also going to Texas and other places. Growing up not too far from Grambling University over on the Arkansas side in Wilmot, Arkansas, a town that has about 700 people. I got to the university, no role models. You won't see other people in this field, but it's certainly the jobs are there, the opportunities are there, and you are the ones that we're looking for and would love to see you think about these careers. The National Wildlife Federation often says that saving wildlife will save ourselves. And that's so true as I sit and think about the food that I eat. If I don't take care of the pollinators, what am I gonna do when I want watermelon? What am I gonna do when I want tomatoes? What am I going to do when I want Chilean sea bass. All of those things are important for us to think about. And so as you think about ways in which you can get in the game and help others to help wildlife, think about careers. The recruiter that came to the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, and here's an example of my second point, say yes, even when you want to say no. So first, it might hurt, but take the pain and keep moving. Number two, say yes. He came there and I had no intentions of leaving Arkansas. I was engaged to Jughead Stanley, and he was a farmer in my hometown. And I thought that for the rest of my life, I would be Mrs. Jug Stanley. And this recruiter came to town and he talked to me about a job. He led me to believe the job was in Arkansas. And I found out after I signed the papers for an internship program. So again, think about internships. And you heard earlier from my sister that said go, Julie said go if you're asked. And I found out the job was in Wisconsin. And I said, I've never been south of Little Rock. And I think it's cold up there. And so he said, let me see what I can do. So he called me back 3 days later and he said, it is Wisconsin, it is cold up there. He said, but we're gonna do something special for you. He said, we're gonna throw in some free clothes. I thought I was getting something other people were not getting, but they were uniforms and everybody got those free clothes. But off to Wisconsin that I went, and it was a wonderful opportunity to learn a lot there, and also build a resume. So look for opportunities to do that. If you can't get internship, ask for a shadowing opportunity. Call any of us on this panel and see if you can't shadow us for 30 minutes out of a day. We can each give you all 30 minutes. I have had individuals that impressed me within those 30 minutes where I encourage them to think about careers in conservation. Samantha Miller, she shadowed me, and one of her shadowing experiences was a meeting at the National Wildlife Federation. She did that and she was so impressive that she was encouraged to apply for a fellowship. Samantha now is an employee at the National Wildlife Federation, and my sister is just rocking it and talking about being proud and seeing that from a shadowing experience. So think about ways in which you can do that too. The other point I want to make is to know your values early. Know what you will say yes to and what you will say no to. I had to do that early, so when I'm in the middle of the stream, I don't have to think about it. Every job that's offered to me, because I'm Black and proud, I did not take it. I had to take the jobs that really fit my values, where I was coming from, and ways in which I could really have an opportunity to do and grow the way I wanted to. The former governor of the state of Texas came to town, and I was in a meeting with her, and she wanted me to make a decision about filling wetlands to build a mall in New York City, outside of New York City. Well, my values told me that there were better things to do with that land. And I am so glad that even though she was a powerful woman and I had a lot of respect for her, I also had respect for what I believed in, and that's knowing my values. Now, when I go canoeing in the Hackensack Meadowlands, I feel so proud when we hear little Black and brown girls that are there that are so excited because they get to see a bird or something like that. Stick with your sisters and your brothers wherever they are. I found them in churches when I lived in rural Minnesota. I found them at Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority that pledged over 40 some years ago. I found them in Columbia, Missouri, however you say that. Find those individuals and keep it. I said, know your values, but know your crazies too. All of us got crazies. In the chat box, if you know you're crazy, let me know you know you're crazy. Tell me you know you're crazy. If your family will know you're crazy, make sure that you know you're crazy. And what I mean by that, know what those things are that will make you not be bold, make you not take risks, make you have anxieties, but also sometimes just actually piss you off. Know you're crazy. Know if you're feeling that way because you're not being acknowledged, you're not being appreciated, and others are not being aware of the person that you really are. Once you know your crazies, then you can react to them. I didn't always do that. I had one boss that I didn't get along with, and it was simply because I didn't have the skill sets that I needed and did not know myself, my drivers, and all of that. So I encourage you to find out what they are and make sure that you react to them in a positive way. In Minnesota, I was walking down the street in a small town there where I worked at a national fish hatchery, raising fish to actually stock in streams in the Great Lakes. And this little girl said, "Look, Mommy, there's a chocolate one." She had never seen a person of color, and it was amazing for her to see me. And here's an opportunity. When you do get a chance, if you take that opportunity, understand that you are, and I know many of you all know this already, you are representing HBCUs. You are an ambassador for our people. And there's a responsibility. To whom much is given, you know, much is expected. I recall walking in as I was getting my PhD and had done a paper and thought the paper was not good at all. And the professor came to me, threw the paper down in front of my desk and said, "Who taught you to write?" Well, at first I was gonna be embarrassed because I had gone to this little HBCU in Arkansas. But something inside of me said that I'm supposed to be an ambassador. I'm supposed to be proud of where I come from. And so I said, "Miss Betty Williams," not Dr. Betty Williams, but Miss Betty Williams. And I tell you, he said to me, "You are an excellent writer." So, but look at that negative talk that we have sometimes in our minds. So watch that self-negative talk. So know that it's gonna hurt. Know that you need to say yes. Know that you need to continue to go and grow. Know your crazies, know your values, and see what you can do about that. And know that you are an ambassador to many of the programs and the people. As I close many of my speeches, I always say to people that the point here is that a bend in the road is not always the end of the road. So if you feel that there are times when you can't make it, think about the fact that usually it would work itself out. When people ask me, what would I tell my 15-year-old self? Is usually I tell myself, it's gonna be all right. Yes, I was different because I love the outdoors. I love being in old shorts and clothes and not being this beauty queen that I knew that many of my friends were. And they tease me a lot for being smart. They tease me a lot for liking the outdoors. But in the end, I knew that deep down inside that it was probably going to be all right. And it was all right. But when I think about my life and how I've had ups and downs, my mother was an avid angler. She taught me to fish. She taught me to be an outdoor woman. But she died 2 weeks before I graduated. And I'm so grateful that I went to an HBCU where there were people there that helped take care of me once I got enrolled in school. But I had other tragedies in my life. My husband died at the age of 50 from stomach cancer. And it was in his death that I learned a lot about living. But one of the things that he encouraged me to do was to keep going and growing. And he said, "Your finest day is yet unknown." He had heard me talk about the fact that my mother had said the same thing. And so she said those words to me on her dying bed when she said what is now a song, "Each day I live to be a day to give the best of me. I'm only one, but not alone. Your finest day is yet unknown." As I close, I say to you, keep going and growing. And again, know who you are and know your values. Thank you so very much for this wonderful opportunity. So go work your dreams.
Beatrice.
Thank you, Simone. And wow, Simone, boy, do I owe you for putting me behind the Dr. Mamie Parker.
Oh, I love you, girl.
Good evening, HBCU family and everyone joining us. I am Beatrice Wilson, and I am the Assistant Director for Urban and Community Forestry at the USDA Forest Service. And I will say the title of this segment is Once Upon a Time. And I will go into once upon a time, an HBCU found a little Black girl magic from Oakdale, Louisiana, who had a chance to get a college degree, to be the first in her family to get a college degree. And so I sit here proud this evening across from you on Zoom, a proud Jaguar of Southern University. I have an urban forestry degree from Southern University in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And what an amazing journey I've had in my green career. And I say my green career. And as you enter your green career, you will know exactly what I mean. It is not going to be like many of those in the cubicles around you. You will not quite possibly have grown up on summer vacations, hiking and biking, crabbing, and all kinds of other fancy exploratory opportunities in conservation. But what I will tell you is that make the most of the career that you have. And so I will give you a couple items. I noticed I have 7 minutes. I might be able to give you back a little bit of time, Simone, but I wanted to share a few things out as I've heard some amazing points tonight. I've heard about the opportunities for mentorship. And so as I sit as the national lead for urban and community forestry, and I have a degree in urban and community forestry. And if you haven't done the math, you'll figure out pretty quickly that it was the same urban forestry degree that paid for my urban forestry education. So I now lead the program that found me in the tiny town of Oakdale, Louisiana, where there were 5 stoplights. And so know that it can happen. And there is going to be a unique path to your experience. You just have to continue to say yes when you know that it's something that you want to go towards. And so I'll share a couple things. We heard about mentoring, but I'll tell you 20 years in my forestry career, and don't forget forestry career, 20 years, I'll tell you beyond mentoring, always be scouting for your next sponsor. Because there's only so much, just as your advisor can help you plan out your schedule, your mentor perhaps can put you on to a couple career job opportunities or introduce you to somebody else and help you in networking once you get on the job. But it's the sponsor who will speak your name in the rooms when you're not in the room, when it's promotion time, when it's an opportunity for you to be assigned somewhere else or at somewhere else. I have in my career gone from being a trainee in urban forestry and USDA to now at this point in my career, I have gone to the White House twice and worked for 2 different divisions of the White House. I've been at the Council of Environmental Quality and I've been at the Office of Management and Budget, once for forestry and the other time for diversity. And so, and when I talk about my green career, I want you to think about how you want to show up in your green career. Just because you may come through with a biological or ecological degree, there's extreme need for decision makers in this space. And so just like there are practitioners who are holding down the Black community when it comes to conservation, there's also a demanding need on the policy side, on the business side, on the advocacy side, to make sure that we are not just out there collecting data and collecting samples, but there is somebody actually going back and analyzing that information and spinning it into a structured paragraph or narrative around the disparity that many Black and Brown communities are experiencing. So bring your whole HBCU pride when you do come to your conservation career, because you will need it. Just like we don't mind speaking up in the room when someone wants to know what school we're representing, be just as bold when you get in the room to be prepared to represent the communities. Because many times those who are left out the decisions and often allocated the least resources are those who don't have representation at the table. And so as I talk through representation, one of the things I want to say in this virtual world, as you go into different meetings, whether you're in a conference or a working group or someone invites you to a workshop, turn your camera on, because just your mere presence is important to be seen in the room and to be known that you are in the room. Because as you have acknowledged yourself being in the room, folks will work the conversation, and the decisions perhaps will be more inclusive of the fact that they see you in the room. And so instead of the traditional excuse that I didn't even think about that, or I didn't think about that neighborhood, or that didn't cross my mind, you are in the room. And even if you aren't ready to take your microphone off mute, be prepared to take your camera off. Your mere presence will be important. And as I think about my career in forestry, my agency is about 34,000 employees in the Forest Service. Black women are 1.1% of the agency's workforce. And so there is no choice. I say all the time to my mentees, if not me, then who? If not now, then when? Because there's this tremendous tailwind we're experiencing right now in conservation. Dr. Ali said it when we kicked off earlier, that there's a season, that's this opportunity we have right now. And so we want to, we volunteer our time to come and talk through these roundtables, and anytime we can share out what we're doing and being seen. So, if you couldn't say it before, you can say tomorrow that you've seen a Black woman in forestry. And she's quite fashionable and young and articulate when she needs to be. But I will tell you, this is a fun time. And so we want to make sure that we're encouraging. And I want to share with you that there's an importance for you to be the change when you do get in. Be the change you want to see. Whatever program, I have urban and community forestry. It's a $40 million program that can only be the federal resources that can only be used for urban communities, the health and the well-being of the urban forest and the people who live in those urban forested areas. And so when I think about the demographics of urban America, it's an opportunity. I get excited because this is a chance for us to, think about where we are in this administration: racial equity, environmental justice, climate adaptation, historically Black colleges and universities. I even sweep in the incarceration, because I have to think about my entire community. And so as I've developed programs regarding diversity in wildfire, diversity in environmental justice, and finding ways to bring more and more young people into the actual conservation field, to where whether they want to go into and be a public servant, or if they want to go for profit, or if they want to be on the legal side, the financial side, there are opportunities for all of us to thrive. You should be ready and excited about wherever you want to go. Reach out to any of us. We were you at one point, some point. We were you at some point. And please reach out. I'll put my contact information. I'm at U.S. Department of Agriculture's Forest Service is my agency. As far as opportunities, I'll make sure I put a link in the chat pod around our USDA Scholars Program, our Forest Service program around resource assistance. As you all think about your careers, if they're not offering a job, ask them if they have an internship. If they are offering internships, ask them what the statistics are around their internships turning into jobs after you obtain your degree. You want to always think about your path forward. And if there is a path forward, is there somewhere for you to grow once you leave that opportunity? And the last thing I'll say is, don't be stingy. Don't be stingy with your time. Once you get in, if you get a call from Simone and she wants you to come and be on a roundtable on a Wednesday evening, say yes. Say yes, because you don't know whose life you might change, who might have been thinking about majoring in forestry or urban forestry, or working in the government, making decisions for communities and for the general public. So I definitely want to amplify that, is that it's so important for once we get into these careers that we're not ashamed, or we're not watering down what we are, who we are, and what we bring to these opportunities. And last but not least, I will say that as you volunteer, think about those who you are volunteering for and what can you do in their lives, whether it's through your time, it's through your education, or through your finances. Volunteer and give back, because it's always so important for us to remain grounded in these careers. Thank you, Simone. Thank you, National Wildlife Federation. And one more shout out for the Southern University. I think Simone's on mute, so I just get to keep talking until she starts that mute button.
Thank you so much. You were wonderful. We're ready for Mr. Wright.
All right. Good evening, everybody. I'm happy to be here. I am very excited to see Southern and Grambling people on here. I am a Alcornite, as you can maybe see on my shirt. I'm from the town of Tallulah, Louisiana, a little town in Northeast Louisiana. And I am a 5th generation Alcornite. Well, let me kind of back it up a little bit. I am an ag econ major. I come from an agricultural background. My family farmed. My great-grandfather migrated just across the river from Mississippi over to Louisiana in the early 1900s. He was not a well-educated man, but he was a brilliant man at the same time. He understood that education was important, and he came over and he sharecropped for about 10 years, and then he purchased a little bit over 200 acres of farmland. And he realized that the kids there, that the elementary age kids didn't have a school, so he donated 10 acres to the school board, and they built the elementary school, which is still standing now today as Wright Elementary. I am, like I said, I'm a 5th generation Alcornite. And I know that history, those prayers, and those are the shoulders of people that I stand on. And so let me fast forward, ag econ major, a green job. I came to Alcorn, I really didn't know exactly what I wanted to major in. And I know a lot of you probably, especially if you're a freshman, you might not be too sure. I knew that I wanted a job that wouldn't have me stuck in an office all day. I knew I wanted to be outside because that's the type of person I am. I'm not afraid of hard work. And so, it took me about till my sophomore year, and I realized that I wanted to be an ag major. And so I would like to say this to you. Every opportunity is not for you, but make sure, just like some of the other speakers said earlier, make sure that you identify those opportunities and see which one's best fit for you. If I would have known better, I may have took more internships at an early age. I would have looked at agriculture even in high school, because I didn't realize that they had summer programs then, back when I was in high school. But coming from the area that I came from, those jobs weren't even broadcast. They were more for those white kids whose fathers were big time, farmers and landowners and all that. Minorities, Blacks, African Americans, we never knew anything about those opportunities. And so I would say take advantage of the time that you have right now at your HBCU. Make sure that you utilize every resource that you have. Have a relationship with your teachers, and just really, really work the system, make it work for you. Okay, and so let me speed it up. I have been working in my green career for about 12 years now. I started off as an advocate for minority farmers. I worked under the 2501 program, and later on, I actually became the director over the 2501 program at Tougaloo College, where I was mainly working in the Mississippi Delta area. And that program is a program that's strictly geared towards minority landowners, Black farmers, ranchers. We provided technical assistance to those people. We did everything as far as help them build credit, help them really turn their farms into actual businesses. That was our whole goal. This is not a hobby farm. This is a business. And we did so much good work there that even now I get phone calls, and I sit on a little board right now that, we can see the work paying off that we did 3 or 4 years ago. Now I have really put these guys on a higher level, these men and women. As you know, if you are doing anything in agriculture, especially in the state of Mississippi, I can't speak for everywhere, but in the state of Mississippi, agriculture doesn't look like it did 25 years ago. We have so many African-American females that are in charge, that are in these spaces of power, and I love it. We have so many area supervisors that are African-American female. I mean, it's just awesome. It really doesn't look how it looked 25 years ago. Of course, in this field, we've dealt with a whole lot of this discrimination, and we're still fighting things. There are still some hills, there's still some mountains that we're trying to climb. And I just really want to encourage you guys to really look into these green jobs, because I'm gonna tell you something about all of them. It all goes back to a love of people. And you have to have a love of people to be able to really do this work. There has to be more than just, okay, I'm gonna get a job and I'm gonna make some money. It really has to be, you have to have a love for people. Make sure you're getting a good job, you're able to take care of yourself and your family. But having a love for people is something that you really, really have to have when you work these green jobs, because it's gonna be some days, I'm sure everybody here can tell you that they had to work past quitting time. They get phone calls from people all times of the morning, all times of the night. And you, like I said, just go back to having a love for people and having that passion. And so if I can encourage you in any kind of way or push you forward, I will put my contact information here. And also, if you look on the program, you saw that I'm a farmer and a hunter. I do a lot of urban farming, and I am a hunter too. And that's an area that Blacks have had a lot of discrimination. Blacks have been discriminated towards too. And so we're just all over the board, breaking those barriers and showing people that, that is who we are. We come from hunters, we come from gatherers, we come from farmers. This is who we are. Things were kind of watered down and put a bad light on during slavery and after slavery, especially, dealing with agriculture. And that's why a lot of people tended to kind of stray away from it, but people are now coming back. People are now understanding that it is not up to anybody to feed us. We can feed ourselves. So part of my urban farming deal is to educate people, especially in the, of course, in the urban areas. Just try to educate them and try to go back to the old landmark to where we took care of each other. Back in the day, people had gardens and they would share with each other. I'm probably raising peas and corn. You might have a couple of hogs. When you slaughter your hog on the first day of fall, everybody get a piece of meat. You know what I'm saying? It was a complete networking system of love that people took care of each other in. And that's what I'm trying to get people to kind of go back to, self-sustainability. And so that's all I have for you. And y'all be blessed.
Thank you so much. That was phenomenal. I always appreciate you, Otis. I want to thank the entire panel. You were all wonderful. It was great to hear your stories. We get the opportunity now to go back and enjoy a little art. We're gonna talk, or I shouldn't say talk, we're gonna listen to Mr. Warren Dixon as he shares his next set of artistry with us. And I want to encourage each of you to stay on until the end. We're almost done. And we want to share with you at the end, or closer to the end, you'll get these keys to success. That's that section coming up where we talk to you about networking and connecting, ways in which you can protect the environment. So Warren, I want to turn it over to you.
Hey, so what's going on? All HBCU students, listen. I just want you to know I'm not an HBCU student. I didn't even get a chance to have college talks with my parents coming up. I come up from Watts, California, right? Watts, we made an acronym out of Watts called We Are Taught to Survive. But no one taught us how to live. No one taught us that. So I just want to let you know. Everything I'm saying is from the heart, but I'm new to this as well. So, just know that me and you, we're going to change the world for sure. That's what we're all about. Let's go. You can move your head like this. I know you're probably doing that already. See, don't let me ruin your mood trying to inspire you. I'm just striking a match, putting that fire in you. If you made it to this line, I admire you for it. There's something special inside of you, I'm proud of you for it. Got a plan to plant 4,000 trees in my city. I believe in something more, you should believe in it with me. This ain't another song telling you to buy up the PJs. No, it's more for you on the other side of the freeway. They may have thought that I forgot about this rap, but I didn't. I just took a little time trying to build up a business, environmental education company for the children. Might have stepped outside, but I'm back in the building. Nothing special about me, I'm just making decisions. Ain't as quick as we predicted, but we staying persistent. Might win, might lose, but ain't no way that we quitting. Me and you could change the world, it ain't no maybe with this one. You see, I didn't have that exposure, you know? So I needed to see people like you, so they could be in front of me. Because we didn't do what we heard, we did what we seen. And I found a way, luckily, to use what I had to change my community, you know? So that's what y'all seeing right now. See, I turn the industry to my living room. I turn the vocal booth to my dining room. It ain't no mystery, we just repeating history. Sometimes a hero may have to die for the victory. So, if I'm on my way off, just let it pay off. Celebrate my birthday, take the day off. Brought things to the city, trying to bring them more. Had Johnny painting murals, trying to picture hope. We was bringing wildlife to the wildlife. Made old folks feel childlike. See, I told the city when I do this, you should back me up. If what I do for good's illegal, they can lock me up. I meant that. Yeah, see, I meant that. Cause, look, might win, might lose, but ain't no way that we quitting. Me and you gon' change the world, it ain't no maybe with this one. See, you gotta understand that exposure is what shapes us. So, I was lucky enough to keep moving, find myself an opportunity, right? And now I own an environmental education company. And now I changed the narrative.
That's phenomenal. Thank you so much. Outstanding. Thank you so much. At this time, we are going to transition, and we are going to transition to that important area called Keys to Success. This last round of 3-minute conversations, the panelists will look through the lens of race, and they will share tips and tools and tripwires and techniques that have proven beneficial to achieving education, graduation, and navigating majority white spaces while advancing in business and career. They'll also share with you some helpful interviewing hints and transitioning hints and building your soft skill hints. And of course, maintaining high professional standards. First up, we will hear from Miss Maya Williams. And Maya is an artist, a playwright, and an alumna, magna cum laude, of Texas Southern University. After Maya, we're going to hear attorney Faye Matthews. She handles legal policy for the Gulf program down there in Louisiana, the National Wildlife Federation. After that, we have Miss Tammy Davis, who is the manager of business and workforce diversity at the Obama Foundation. Mr. Ernest Coverson, campaign manager to end gun violence with Amnesty International. Then we have Miss Brittany Shepard, senior and president of the debate team at Texas Southern University. And closing us out and rounding us up is Mr. Philip Wilkerson. He is the career counselor over at George Mason University.
Good evening, HBCU family. My name is Faye Matthews. I am an attorney. I work at the National Wildlife Federation, as Simone stated, on the Gulf team. I do legal work and I do policy work, and I am really enjoying my time as an environmental lawyer. I will say that. I am a proud graduate of the Southern University Law Center. Love all HBCU family, but SU for sure. So I will share 5 points, at least 5, have 7, but I'm going to share 5 of the most important points as keys to success. Many are things that other panelists have already highlighted, but I will speak to them again nonetheless. Mentorship. The value of mentorship is undervalued. I don't think there's always sort of it's not underscored in a way that it should be sort of put at the forefront. There are always people who are willing to share their experiences, or willing to share their story, or willing to share something. And I would highly encourage each student, as you are moving on, to get into a green space to actually get a mentor. It's always someone there. Networking, relationships are worth a lot. They a lot of times can open doors that education and even say marketing in a business won't. Networking not only gets you sometimes to an open door, it also opens the pathway to have long lasting relationships. I would underscore the value of networking over and over again, especially in a field like law. And then particularly in environmental law, where it's just not a lot of people who look like me, who are Black and brown. The other thing I'll say to that point is intersectionality, right? There are 4 things. I'm Black woman, a woman. I am an attorney, and I'm also in, which is a field that's dominated by white men. And then the environmental field is just white. So one other key to success that I'll add is just to recognize those intersectionalities and be aware of how each of the group, each of the thing actually plays out or impacts you. I would also say to take ownership and be proactive. Take ownership over your own professional development, over your own career development. Don't ask for permission. Give yourself permission to actually chart your own territory and build yourself and create yourself. And I heard a lot of say yes. I do believe say yes, but I also believe that sometimes you have to be useless to other people in order to be useful to yourself. And that's one thing that I've learned in my journey, is that I've experienced situations where I was always being pulled and tugged in various directions to a point sometimes that I didn't always take care of myself. So my mantra these days is be useful to yourself and useless to everyone else. Sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes. Self-care is really important. Take credit for your work. Doesn't always have to be in a boastful way, but just as a matter of fact, take credit for your work. You don't take credit for your work and you don't take ownership over your own work, inevitably, someone will always take it. So just always be ready to stand up and talk about your contributions as a matter of fact, so that you're properly recognized. And then the last thing that I'll say is to just be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself and have integrity in your career. This goes back to what Dr. Parker and some of the other panelists said about knowing your values. Have integrity, be honest, and treat people right. The world is really small, not just any particular sector, whether it's ag, our law, our policy, our forestry. Just always be kind. It takes a long time to actually go through school and build yourself up, and it can take really a second to ruin yourself. So I'd say be cognizant of that. And then for people like us, eyes are always watching you. So I'd say that. And then the last thing, say that was the last point, this is the last point, is to whom much is given, much is required. So everything, I have to give a lot of credit to mentors that I did have and relationships that I was able to build along the way, and along with my education and the career counselors, folks who didn't necessarily work in a legal field, but may have been in energy or environment sectors one way or another. Lots of investments were made in me. Lots of investments will be made in you likely, and it's going to be really important to just not forget and remember to reach back and give to others as things were given to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Faye. Ms. Davis.
All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Simone, and the National Wildlife Federation for this exciting opportunity. As Simone mentioned, my name is Tammy Davis, and I am the Manager of Business and Workforce Diversity for the Obama Foundation. And for over 20 years, I have been working in the area of affirmative action programs, civil rights advocacy, business and workforce diversity with an area of expertise in construction industry and in economic development. So you might be saying, what does that have to do with green careers? Well, let me share with you that over those 20 plus years, I have been honing my craft. I have been staying in my lane, positioning myself as a subject matter expert in my area of field and interest. And by doing so, it has allowed me to enter doors that I did not exist, sit at tables that I did not construct, and be amongst many valuable professionals, such as those in this virtual room, that I otherwise would not have known had I not just taken the initiative and been proactive. And so if there is anything that I could encourage you all to do is to, one, make sure you work your passion and just hone your skills. Become your own subject matter expert in your field of study or in your particular area of interest. I didn't know 10 plus years ago that by being an advocate at heart and in practice to ensure that minorities and women had an equal chance of being included and engaged, that I will have an opportunity to sit with legislators at the local, state, and federal level to discuss how we can make sure that our jobs are including people from the community just by staying in my lane. And by doing so, I didn't know that a couple years ago that I would be working on a statewide study that would be investigating environmental concerns where there was lead contamination of water in the city where I grew up, to talk about how those environmental remediation projects would include training for people from the community. So you never know where your area of study or passion is going to take you. I would not have known over 10 years ago that I would spend close to 11 years working for a utility, where I would be part of a group working with engineers to develop specifications to specifically talk about career and workforce development in building green spaces, right? So I didn't know that by staying in my lane of advocacy, that I would be able to sit at so many tables. And so if I can share anything with you as a student, I would share for you to also be bold. Think outside of the norm. Be prepared for doors that you did not know existed and be able to walk down pathways that you did not create. I would encourage you to volunteer. Volunteer as much as you can. In this area and in this age, I would love for you to take more advantage of LinkedIn Learning, get on Facebook, participate in every free virtual conference that you can attend. Balance and support your degree with some type of business acumen. It's great for you to want to plant, to garden, to save our Great Lakes and our waters, but we also need for you to know how to write a memo. We also need for you to know how to write a business letter. And so balance all of that with some of the standard business practices. Take classes in communication, because you never know when you may have to take that field study report and present it before a committee or present it before your managers. So you need to be able to translate that passion, that labor side of what you do, into a written and oral presentation. And so lastly, I would encourage each of you to take ownership of your skin color. Take ownership of going to an HBCU. I received my bachelor's in English from I don't know about Southern, but the Sonic Boom of the South, Jackson State University. So I am Tiger proud to represent the Tigerland on this evening. But be that as it may, I want to encourage you to just feel good about who you are, because you will be discounted because of the color of your skin. You will be discounted because you attended an HBCU. But know that there is value in that. There are individuals that don't look like us that are minoring in African American studies while going to a PWI. So you have value already. And so while others may see your darkness, your dark skin, the dark color of where you received your degree, I want to encourage you to shine your light. Let your education, how you present yourself, and how you have balanced your study with volunteerism and supporting it with virtual learning and networking opportunities, let your light speak for you. Inside the chat, I will add in some links where you can find about career employment opportunities with the Obama Foundation. And I want you to make sure that you're being bold and being brave. And lastly, even if you want to focus in on environmentally related studies, please know that there are other industries who need you. The legal profession needs you, government needs you, architects need you, design firms need you, businesses such as BP, they need you, Google needs you. So know that there is a space for you. And even though you may not immediately see it, don't be afraid to construct your own path. Thank you, and I look forward to hearing from all of you, students and my fellow panelists. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you. We're going to move to Mr. Ernest Culverson. You're going to do your 3 minutes for us, Ernest. We want to thank you. I know you know. Thank you.
Hilarious. But yeah, I'm going to do my 3. So real quickly, really tapping into where Sister Tammy left off. Again, Ernest Culverson with Amnesty International, gun violence manager. So you want to know how does Amnesty International human rights organization gets into this conversation? And I'm really here in regards to the part that we're talking about. I'm looking at this work through a race lens. I've had the opportunity to do both. I've worked with Black folk. I used to work for NAACP, and now I work with Amnesty International. 2 different worlds, right? And 2 different things. But NAACP, even though I wasn't fortunate enough to go to a HBCU, but working with NAACP gave me that strength, that inner strength to now go and do other work outside, where you attending an HBCU is giving you that inner strength that you're going to need to navigate this world with white folk, right? You know, you have to be true to who you are and know who you are and know whose you are in this work, no matter where you go. You know, you have to be confident, not being arrogant, but being confident in knowing what you know, because you're going to be questioned. I think, Tammy, someone said, you're going to be questioned. They're going to ask you 10 times the same question just to trip you up. They're going to question how you wrote something. They're going to question how you talk about things. I'm currently dealing with that. You know, I can do an email and they will come back and ask the same question. I look and question myself sometimes. Did I write that correctly? Did I say what I thought I said in the email? And someone else would turn around and say the same thing that I just wrote in the email that may be a white colleague. So they're going to constantly come at you. So you have to be true to who you are, know who you are, and knows who you are. Make sure you document everything. You know your stuff, but document it as well. I'm not saying don't trust folks, but you have to cover your own tail. in working in this environment of white people, and understand that that's where you're going. I'm not saying don't like them, don't have friends, but understand as well, at the end of the day, in my experience, race trumps everything. And so with race trumping everything, knowing that in the back of your mind helps you navigate this world and navigate the work that you're going to be going into. Because as everyone earlier has stated, many times you will be the only one in the room. You will be the only one that's going to be from an HBCU. You're going to be the only one that has an urban, Black, inner city, whatever title you want to give it, experience. And they're going to question your reality and make you think you didn't grow up in a Southside Chicago and that you know all the Black folks in Southside Chicago go to Harold's Chicken. They're going to question that. And they have never walked in the streets of Southside Chicago. So those questions will constantly be there, but always know who you are, knows who you are, and you will make sure it happen. Get that team that some folks have said, make sure you have friends inside and outside that you can just debrief. It may be a daily debrief. You got a phone call every day, 4 or 5 times a day of a colleague that's in another organization going through the same thing you are. And so that's going to be your relief. That's going to give you the opportunity to go back the next day and whip tail again the next day. So you have to have that and build that out around you as well. But be supportive of each other, be for each other. Everyone here that's on this Zoom here, we've all been through it. So you will not be new to it. So we are here to be your support system as well, because we've all navigated this far. And so we can be that voice for you and that shoulder for you to lean on as you move forward. So I want to stop there. I know I have my 3 minutes, but yeah, navigating, knowing who you are, know whose you are will get you through this situation as well.
Great. Thank you so much, Amnesty International, Mr. Coverson. And next up, we have Ms. Shepard, and we will round it out with one more speaker after that. Go ahead, Ms. Shepard.
Hello, greetings everyone. My name is Brittany Shepard. I am a graduating senior at the illustrious Texas Southern University. I am also the president of the TSU debate team as well. My major is administration of justice with a minor in psychology. So just to get right to it, I think one of the most critical keys to success while attending HBCU is you really want to utilize it for your safe space. College is really that catalyst between being comfortable and getting into the real world. It's pretty much your margin of error where you're allowed to make certain mistakes before you actually get into the corporate world or the environment world or any CEO type of environment. So you really want to make sure you utilize your HBCU as your safe space, make those mistakes, make sure you look for those resources and utilize them. Secondly, just extending on the last point I said about utilizing your resources, a lot of the resources we wish we had when we were in high school or middle school, we actually pay for in our tuition. So your medical care, if you don't have insurance, sometimes we do have medical care. We have like health centers on campus, or if you're in need of a tutor, that is also included in your tuition. So make sure you use your resources on campus. Third, make sure you're taking care of yourself mentally, emotionally, and physically. If you're not at your best, there's not much you can do, and there's not much you can do to help others. So even if and I don't encourage anyone to miss class, but as a student leader, you have a lot on your plate. And if you're just mentally or physically exhausted and emotionally exhausted, you won't be able to go to class and retain the information that is critically necessary for your degree plan. So if you do have to stay home and kind of give yourself a sick day every once in a while, then do that, because you want to make sure you're 100% mentally, physically, and emotionally before you go to class, before you have speaking engagements, panel discussions, anything like that. You also want to make sure that you are cognizant of your environment. So Texas Southern is located in the heart of the historic Third Ward. And we're also, of course, an HBCU. And so what we have on campus, sometimes we have our campus cleanups and we have community cleanups where we go around the campus, pick up trash, or go around the community and just pick up trash and really engage with the community as well. So we want to make sure that we're being environmentally cognizant when we're in areas where it's predominantly Black or an urban community or anything like that. We just want to make sure that we're really taking care of our environment, because not many people actually put in effort or care into doing it for us. So we want to make sure we're taking the initiative for that.
Were you honoring your 3 minutes, Brittany?
Yes, I was.
Dude, she had a little beeper and everything. See, I love that. Hey, Brittany, when you're ready for a job, call the National Wildlife Federation. That was wonderful, sweetie. Thank you so much. And we have our last speaker up, and it is the career counselor extraordinaire from George Mason University, Mr. Philip Wilkerson.
Thank you. So, Brittany, I think that was a great idea. So I just set my phone as well. I learn from young people all the time. I think that was great. So I'm looking at the timer in my 3 minutes. So I think my one advice for this I learned is you're a lifelong learner. We can learn from the youth all the time. I've learned so much, especially here at Career Services. So we had a wonderful array of speakers today. And so I'm not going to reiterate a lot of the things they said, but I will reiterate this one thing about knowing yourself in regards to your professional development. So think about this. Everyone has their favorite brands, right? Nike, Reebok, all those different brands. So I would like to challenge y'all to think about, what is your brand? You are your walking billboard right now. And so I'll draw that comparison. So think about this. So Nike has social media, right? You have social media. They have billboards and flyers. You have a resume and cover letter, that tangible hard material. They got radio ads. That's going to be your elevator pitch and how you talk about yourself in interviews. They have endorsements and sponsors. Those are going to be those people in the room that vouch for you, those recommendations. And then I think lastly, I'm trying to think, radio ads. I don't know. That's pretty much a lot of the lines down those. I think there's one more, but I'm always going to forget. I'll get a little nervous. So think about this though, with that brand. Nike doesn't say don't do it on one platform and then say do it, right? They say just do it across it. So for you and knowing your personal brand, particularly professionally, is your brand aligned? Are you able to articulate your skills both in an interview, on your LinkedIn profile, and on your resume and cover letter, right? And that's kind of where I come in. I always talk to students and say, I know what you want to do and all this. Do you know how to market that? Do you know how to promote it? Can I look at your resume and see that you're skilled in graphic design or a certain, software? Can I ask you questions about your experience, right? Interview questions. Can you illustrate that in an interview question to me? And then if I looked on your LinkedIn, which I'm gonna share mine in the chat, do I see that? Like, do I see bullet points on your LinkedIn? Do I see a profile picture? Do I see that your brand is aligned? And what you normally see is a lot is that sometimes I see students that have like 1 out of 4, right? I mean, they don't have all 4. They're really good at talking about themselves, but they don't know how to write about themselves. Or they're really good at their resume, but then they choke, or not choke, but they get really nervous during an interview or networking. Or they literally are really shy about their digital presence and they really don't have ways to promote themselves. So I really encourage you to think about that. What is your brand? I'm gonna share my LinkedIn. You can connect with me, take a look. I'm also shared my email in the chat as well to follow up. And then also any resources about resume. I'll send that to Ms. Lightfoot, resume guides and tips for that. But that's the one thing I want to charge is, what is your brand? And thank you.
Oh, that was
good. I love that idea, dude. I had to copy that. I love it.
We're going to have to employ that. Maya Williams fell off the call last time. Maya, I am so sorry. We're so behind. You have 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes, sweetie. Go rapid fire, please.
Can you guys hear me and see me?
Yep, go right ahead.
Hi, everyone. My name is Maya Michelle Williams. Thank you, Ms. Simone Lightfoot. Thank you, National Wildlife Federation. I am an HBCU alum for the illustrious Texas Southern University. I am a member of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. I was a member of the Texas Southern University debate team, and now I am a member of the University Players Alumni Chapter. And I will be speaking about the 4 keys to success. And the quote that I live by is, "The sky is not the limit, it's just a view." Unknown. So the first key is, let's get connected. Regardless of whatever path or career you chose, be sure to visit your university's Career and Professional Development Center. I cannot stress this enough. Be sure to go there about resources for going after the career that you love. They can assist with interview mock-ups and preps, resume tips and tricks, virtual jobs and career fairs, and always dress to impress, because you never know who is watching you. Secondly, the second key to success is, it's not what you know, but who you know. Make sure to stay in the loop with current leadership, professors, faculty, staff, and coaches on your university's campus, whether that is athletes, D9 organizations, counselors, alumni, SGA, debate team club, or student ambassadors. And we all know, including myself, I am an ambassador for Texas Southern University. The third key to success is get to know your city, regardless if you're in New Orleans or Los Angeles, California, or Dallas, Texas, Houston, Texas, Chicago, Illinois, wherever you are. Get to know your city, because where your HBCU or college is located, it has a lot of great facilities. I know the college that I went to, Texas Southern University, is located in the city of Houston with a multitude of fascinating facilities, including Black theaters such as the Ensemble, the Alley Theater, the Hobby Center for the Performing Arts Center, and Wortham Theater Center. And the fourth tip to success, because I know I'm on a time limit here, is to always stay organized, set boundaries, and write down goals. We as African Americans have to know how to set boundaries, even to family, to professors, to friends. If we need that extra day to get back on track, to write down our goals, or whether that's cleaning up your room or making sure you're going to the library to study, make sure you are staying organized, setting your boundaries, and writing down your goals. Thank you.
You rock, sweetie. You rock. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take it away.
Thank you.
That was amazing. Thank you so much, everybody. I have the honor of closing out today. Rebecca Villegas, Senior Environmental Justice Program Manager here at the National Wildlife Federation. And just want to say thank you. Thank you all so much to the panelists for joining, for your tips, your resources. Gabby Rivera, our coordinator, is going to be sharing her contact information as well. So if there are other resources that you didn't have a chance to share or talk about, or you just remembered, please do send her a message. We are compiling and building out that toolkit as well. And Elizabeth right now will also be sharing the toolkit that we have thus far. So you have a lot of different resources at your fingertips. But again, we will be continuing to build that out. So please do send your information, your resources. And again, thank you so much for joining our HBCU Roundtable. I hope everybody has a great evening. Thank you.